You're listening to the Holistic Health Front podcast.
Whether you've already taken steps towards a healthier life,
or you're just starting to explore this path,
this podcast aims to help all of us live longer and more energized lives,
so we can all do the things we want and be the person we know we can be.
We bring on functional health experts, parents, professionals, and everyday people who want to make positive changes in their lives.
And we create powerful conversations about how to feel good in a fun, easy, and understandable way,
so you can live the most fulfilling life possible.
Enjoy today's discussion and let us hear your thoughts in our Powerful People Facebook group.
The information presented in this podcast is not meant to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent, or mitigate any disease.
If you have any questions about your health or the health of a loved one, please consult your healthcare practitioner.
Now let's begin.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Holistic Health Front podcast. We are so excited that you'll be joining us tonight. We have a special guest. I'm kind of excited because I've known Jacqueline for, it's over 10 years now. And so I was super excited to invite this friend and colleague of mine onto the show. But we just want to thank all of our listeners for joining us at the Holistic Health Front podcast. As you guys know, we are a group of integrated wellness health coaches that are looking to provide you with information to support your wellness and your journey, whatever that is. And I know we spend a lot of time talking about physical things. What should we do with our body? What should we eat? Mental things, emotional things. But tonight, we're going to take a little broader perspective of what we can do to support that side of us that's spiritual, for lack of a better word. And that's what our guest tonight is, I consider an expert in. I've known her for a long time. Jacqueline Joy, welcome to our podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me. And
yeah,
to listeners
absolutely,
too.
Absolutely. So excited to have you. And Shannon, of course, she's been with us since the beginning. Coach Shannon, thanks for joining us tonight, honey. How are you tonight?
Absolutely. I wouldn't miss it. I'm really excited to meet Jacqueline and hear all about her story.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm going to do is, Jacqueline Joy is the founder of a website, for lack of a better term, called Diamond Alignment. I'm going to read a little blurb about her, and then we're just going to get into it, because when I was first introduced to Diamond Alignment, I didn't know what it was either. And having, worked with Diamond Alignment for the last, it's going on 14 years, almost 15 years. So 14 years. It's so much more than I first understood it to be, and that's what we're going to do. So if you guys will bear with me, I'm going to read a little bio on Jacqueline, and then we're just going to have a chat. So here we go. Jacqueline Joy, founder of Diamond Alignment, has been serving thousands of individuals in over 209 countries for the last 20 years who are saying yes to their soul's call for more. Equanimity, more joy, more wealth of being, from alignment with the soul and the divine power within. Her experience and natural gift for uplifting people and situations to their highest potential, mastered in the entrepreneurial world, and her wisdom from raising 4 dynamic children while navigating through her own life-challenging journey of transformation, equip her to inspire and support you in using the sacred diamond technology to thrive in life from your highest diamond potential. So it's like, wow, where are we going tonight? I mean, I just love some of the words that are used in your bio because I've experienced them personally. But, for each and every one of us, in order for us to thrive, we have to have balance, not just physically, not just mentally, not just emotionally, but to tap into that spiritual side of us. Because I'm pretty sure every one of our listeners would agree that we have a spiritual side, right? There's something animating this human body. We've all had the unfortunate experience of going to a funeral, and we know that body is no longer being animated, right? There's something more than just what's in this 3D experience. And that's what we do as integrative wellness coaches. We teach people how to tap into that. And what I love is that Jacqueline has created, what do we want to call Diamond Alignment? Jacqueline has created and been guided to create a divine technology. How would you describe this, Jacqueline? Let's jump on there.
It's a technology that means it's available for the whole world, and it's very accessible, which is what a technology is, really. It's designed for the masses, let's say. But it's sacred. It's sacred. It's divine. It's energy. It's spiritual. When I think spiritual, I think energy. I think of that energy that is moving us, right, and moving the world. Right. That is invisible, yet very core to our being, right? Like you said, if we don't have the energy, if we don't have the spiritual aspect, we're not able to engage in anything else, right, in this life. Right.
This episode is brought to you by oxygen and carbon dioxide. Breathe deep, breathe slow. Are you tired of nagging headaches, body pains, and feeling like you've been steamrolled by 2 p.m.? Ugh. Want to feel more alive with a clearer mind, voice, and skin?
Yep.
And not to mention getting rid of that pesky BO when the deodorant starts to wear off?
Ew.
Introducing to you today, water. Did you know that 75% of American adults are chronically dehydrated? And did you know that majority of people who are dehydrated think that they actually are hydrated? That means most people are not drinking enough water. But if they did, and they realized how much of a massive difference it makes in how they feel to be hydrated, they would realize that water can change their life. So drink more water. Aim for 96 fluid ounces per day minimum for adults. Side effects include peeing more often the first couple of weeks, but don't worry, it will slow down soon. I know I should really drink less caffeine. I just wish there was some way of getting energy in the morning without a coffee. The sun! Wait a minute. I feel good. Especially when I close my eyes and stare at the sun through my eyelids. Wow, this is great. I think I'm ready to crush this day now. Thanks, sun. The sun. Use it for free with care. We'll be getting back to the show in just a minute, but first, I want to really encourage you to join our free community on Facebook. It's called the Powerful People Community, and it's a place where you can interact with other listeners of the show, including me, our other coaches and co-hosts and everybody. And it's a place where you can ask questions publicly or anonymously. You can request episode topics, you can share your story, and celebrate with a group of really amazing people who will also be celebrating you. So we really hope to see you in the community. We think we're building something really special because we believe when you bring together a group of powerful people, there's just so many great things we can do in this world, more than we could do on our own.
So it's a sacred technology, which means it's an energy technology or a spiritual technology, but it has, as energy has, very, very, very physical, mental, and emotional effects.
Well, I can relate to that because I know, Jacqueline, you know this, and Shannon, I have dabbled in energy medicine, as a professional. I'm a health coach, a wellness coach, but I've also done energy alignment. And so this whole idea of using energy to provide well-being to us physically, mentally, and emotionally is something that I can relate to. And I've been trained in a couple different modalities on how to do that. Some of our audience members might be familiar with energy modalities like Reiki or even meditation. I would consider meditation an understanding, but this is a technology. So how did we get energy into technology? Like, can you tell me a little bit about how, where did this come from? You want a little bit about your history? Like, let's talk. Like, how do we make energy and technology together? Aren't those two separate things?
Yeah, it is rather out of the box and unusual. That's for sure. So it all started for me, and I'll make this story kind of quick. I was, Miss Pillar of the community, 4 children, married for a long time, multi-million-dollar business, did a lot of charity work and fundraising and all of that. And one day, I just dropped to the floor unconscious, just out of the blue. I'd been running 5 miles a day. I was really healthy. I had no symptoms. It was that my cup was empty, and my body just said, we're not doing this anymore. I had gotten kind of robotic, the Miss Superwoman, and say yes, yes, yes to everybody, and just didn't really pay much attention, right, to my own self. even though I ate well and did all of that, but I really didn't think about me very much. I was very much about what can I do for everybody else. I was raised, in a world where it's always about, not thinking about yourself, right? Always thinking about others. So that little journey, which I really do think it was kind of a near-death experience as I look back on it. I didn't think it then. I do think it now probably, though, because it came out of the blue. And when I came back, I don't know how long I was out, maybe 2 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, I have no idea. But when I came back.
So when this happened, you said you dropped to the floor. Were you at home when this happened?
I was at home. I just gotten up from dinner with my 4 children and my now ex-husband. And we just built this brand new house, and I cleared the table, put things in the new trash compactor, and boom, I was down.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Totally unconscious, have no recall, don't know anything that happened, while I was down. And when I came back, all I can tell you is that I'd never had an ounce of anxiety in my life, but that night started major anxiety attacks in me. I started feeling the room was spinning. I was feeling like I had no control. It was like, what is going on? I was just crazy because I was also extremely controlling. Because, when you can have a lot of willpower, right, and do a lot of things, you can be really controlling. And I absolutely was. So this was, oh, honey, you're out of control right now. So I was terrified. I was terrified to be out of control like that and not be able to even breathe properly. I mean, anxiety attacks make you not be able to breathe. And so I went almost immediately to my internist to see what was wrong with me. I thought I have a brain tumor or cancer. Something is really wrong. So I went and for 6 weeks or more, he put me through every kind of test you can imagine, EKGs and all of them. And it came back, when I came back around the 6th or 8th, whatever it was, 8 weeks, he said, Jacqueline, there's nothing wrong with you physically. Tell me about your life. And so I told him all these things. And he said, well, what do you do for you? I literally did not have anything that I could say. So he said, here's your prescription, because I was still having those anxiety attacks. Yeah. So, and they were very terrifying. So he said, here's my prescription for you. No allergy medicine, because I was taking allergy medicine. No coffee, no alcohol. I had already not drinking alcohol, but I was drinking coffee. Yeah. And he said, you lock yourself in your room 1 hour a day. No husband, no children, no friends, no nothing.
Oh my God, who is this doctor and where can I find him?
He was pretty miraculous. And then he said, and I also want you to do 1 hour of walking by yourself every day. Well, I was so terrified, I would have done anything, he said. Shannon, were you going to say something?
I'm curious, how old are your kids that you have to leave them alone?
My kids at the time, I was 38 when this all happened. My children were all under the age of 9. Okay. So 9, 7, 5, and 2.
Wow.
Okay, I'm back.
Now, this is only 1 hour. And I did have help. I have to say, I had help. I had time where I could do that. And I will tell you, I was so terrified, it didn't matter. I knew I was in such trouble that if I didn't do what this doctor said, I didn't know what was going to happen to me, honestly. Yeah. So I did. And I did what he said. And when I started to do that, spending time alone where you're not on the phone and making things happen and all that, he was right. Things started to come up in my consciousness that I was not thinking about or having come up. And I don't want to go into the whole thing, but let me just say that I was living with a lot of abuse and I was denying it. Yeah. You don't want to admit things when you have 4 children under 10 years old. Nope. You don't want to know a lot of things that were going on. Yeah. But the body knows. Mm-hmm. The body knows. And I believe that my body just took me down. My soul just took me down. So, nope, we're not doing this anymore. And so I ended up, my walks became, I lived in a Stepford wife community. You know what I mean when I say that, y'all?
I do.
Okay. everybody's perfect, everybody's wealthy, everybody's got perfect children. So I didn't want to walk in that neighborhood. I was, the truth is, I was like I was like I had leprosy in that neighborhood, because all of a sudden I was like damaged. I couldn't do, because I started saying no to things. I started really looking more inside. And that was like, when the pillar of the community falls, it scares everybody and they just don't want to have anything to do with you. It's all like, That's what happened to me anyway. So I started walking up. My hour walk was up into the hills behind my home, behind the neighborhood that nobody went to because they were all afraid, animals and bikers and that kind of thing. But that's where I went. And I climbed this hill. I went through a great gate, and that's what my book's all about. I went through a narrow gate. I crossed a ditch. I went up a very pretty steep hill every single day to do what this doctor said to do. And what I ended up doing is seeing this fallen down oak tree towards the top of the hill. And I had had a dream a few years before this that was about this tree. And the tree was saying to me in the dream, bring your pain to me. I will help you. So I looked at this tree and I'm like, oh my God, it has fallen just like me. So I ended up just intuitively, this is not the doctor, this just came to me, is that I started to do this every day. And I would go up to the tree, put my hand on the tree, and just ask for help, because my life started to shatter. I mean, fall apart. My husband was not happy about my changes, about me not being able to be the superwoman anymore and having to say no and all of that. And everything started to crumble. I was like Humpty Dumpty who fell off the wall, and I was in lots of pieces. So I had, by that time, this is over a period, I did this for 9 years. I did this tree for 9 years, every single solitary day. So a few years into this, when a lot of things started to get revealed to me, and I started speaking to my husband about him, and he wasn't happy. So it started the divorce, and it was just a long story. But I was asking, I had already started therapy. I'd already started some energy work. I'd already started some things, but I'd gone to churches looking for help. I was like, I just did a lot of things. Nothing was really, really helping me. So I ended up, lying on the tree, but I started to really call for divine help from beyond this world. I was falling apart. And whatever I was doing at the physical level wasn't working. So I just started to call for divine help. And then I would lie on that tree and just open myself up. And this really unusual thing has started to happen. And that was that I would go out. I would be like asleep, but I wasn't asleep. And it would be every day for the next, whatever it was, 7 or 8 years, I would jolt back, kind of back here in the here and now, and look and see where I was in the forest. But I didn't know what had happened while I was gone. I just knew that I wasn't asleep. It was like, I call it now in my book, like a stellar journey home. Because I would get up off that tree, it would be, and it was to the moment, 15 minutes every single solitary day. I didn't try to do it. I would just call for help, lie on the tree. 15 minutes later, I'm kind of jolting back awake, get off of that tree, and I am pain-free in my body, which I was racked with physical pain, bent over. My back was so bad because I just was in bad shape physically from all the pain and all the loss. And I would get up off that tree. I felt good. My body had no pain. I was hopeful. I had a broader perspective. I literally had joy.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. It was like miraculous to me. It was magic to me.
Yeah.
And I'd go down the hill. And by that time, we're in the divorce. A lot of the kids are just a mess and going through a lot of stuff, which kids do. And when they go through that, and when I would get down the hill, I couldn't maintain that joy. I couldn't maintain that expanded perspective. I just got knocked down every time I would get knocked down. So then I'd go back the hill the next day. In fact, it got to be where my kids would say, Mom, you need to go up to the, to the wall.
Yeah.
You need to go up when I'd get really frazzled. And then finally, I just started talking to God. And I said, I really love what happens to me on that tree, and it's getting me to survive. But I want to stay in that place. I don't want to have to climb the hill 45 minutes and have to do that every single day. And I said, I knew, I didn't call it aligned. I didn't know that word. I didn't call it energy. I didn't call it anything back then. I just knew something magical was happening. So I said, I want that to be how I live, not where I can just tap into it and then just get knocked down by the fire of life again. Mm-hmm. So that's where I said, I want to be able to do that anywhere, anytime I need it. And I want to know how I can come back consciously, like I said, without going up the hill. So what started to happen for me is that I started to get downloaded with energy. Now I call it energy. I didn't know what to call it then. But the long and the short of it is that it ended up to be this. It came very clearly, almost like an architectural blueprint. And the energy had colors to it. And it happened for me every single solitary day. It was like building a building, but it was like an energy structure. Mm-hmm. And after a couple of years, it really was, well, a full year, every day, it was this energy chamber where I could just stop wherever I was and call that energy chamber over me, and I could have the same experience that I had on the tree, but I didn't have to climb the tree.
Fascinating.
So whoa, this is really amazing. And then down the road, it grew, it evolved into, it was a pyramid, a magenta pyramid with very clear, enormously gorgeous color and vibration. But I ended up being over years, there was an emerald green that became the bottom part of this chamber and is now what I call the diamond chamber. Right. So this chamber, what I now understand that I didn't have words for back then, is that when I would get into it, I would be brought into alignment with my soul and with infinite power, God. That was beyond all of this human craziness that I had been living in. And I could face situations new. I had strength. I got stronger and stronger. I would come up with ideas and ways to handle things that I hadn't had before. I could handle the children when they were going through all of their things way better. And it made me learn the importance of the invisible world.
Yeah.
That
absolutely.
The alignment, we all know that if you go to a chiropractor, you're going to have better energy flow. That's what the chiropractic is all about, getting your skeleton and everything aligned. Well, it's the same thing with your energy. It's just like our spines and our skeleton are what hold us up and make everything else able to happen. Energy alignment is the same way. It's and the diamond is like an infrastructure, and it just helps us to, we get our energies all scattered out by everything that's going on in life. And it just brings, when we go into it, and it's become a 6-minute experience that we can do online, which is why it's a technology now, that I married it.
Yeah, so that's what I find so fascinating. And thank you for sharing that story, because I am telling you, there are so many people on this line, including me, that can relate to being the superhuman person, the mom, brother, sister, uncle, daughter, whatever it is, that just gives out and gives out. And I know Jacqueline and I have talked, and Shannon and I have talked. Your cup becomes so empty, there's nothing left. And so turning to that part of us that is connected to something greater is huge. And so I know our listeners are like, okay, I can understand prayer. I can understand that connection to something greater. Even like the diamond structure, is that something that you saw in your mind's eye? And is it based in like sacred geometry? Like, do you know?
Now I know. I didn't know back then. But see, there's something really amazing about being virginal. You know what I mean? Like you don't know anything. I didn't have a teacher. I didn't have a book. I didn't have a training. I didn't have any of that. I just got it directly, literally from my own soul and from God. And it just got built. I can't describe it. It just got built in me. Like I would just close my eyes and things would start to happen and I'd see things and I'd be told, like the diamond chamber is literally what I was shown is it's diamond material, not where you can touch it and feel it in the physical world. But I tell you, it was very physical, even though you couldn't do it with your human experience. I mean, I could see those walls, I was told they were diamond walls, like sparkling, glorious diamond walls, if you can imagine that. And I could just see it. And I was told it. I was told what the magenta was. I was told what the emerald green, was doing. I was just told this stuff.
So you were told what it was. So what is the magenta? Like, what is that? And what is the emerald green? What does that mean? You were told that.
Magenta is real. Okay. So what I'm shown now, and it took many years for me to hear and get all this, because it's not being told with your human ears. It's like, but I think this is what happened to me when I dropped to the floor, you all, is that I think I had some sort of connection when I came back that I didn't have before. Because I tell you, I never saw anything before. And I am not a psychic. I'm not somebody that has a lot of visions, and I don't. It was like I was being schooled. I was being taught. I was being shown. I was having this built around me. So the magenta, what I realize is that magenta is harnessing the invisible energy of our creator. That invisible, we don't see it, but it's responsible for everything that exists.
Okay.
So it's an invisible realm from the heavens, let's say. Then the emerald green that came in later, because the magenta was too powerful. When I was told I needed to share this, which was many, many years later, I went 7 years and never said one word to one human being in my whole world when I was working with this diamond. Not one word.
Yeah. And I think I would be scared too. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of an we talk about out of the box thinking. This is like an out of the universe.
Way out of the box.
Right. And this is an out of the universe experience. So I think I would be like you. I would be like, I'm not telling anybody. So
I don't think I even had enough. I don't know. It became so intimate for me. It didn't feel scary to talk about it to others. It felt more like I had to hold it sacred.
Okay.
Like a scientist does in a petri dish. They have it in a lab and they're really watching it and working with it. You don't like expose it to everything too early, But after many years, I was told, okay, now you are to share this. This gift is not just for you. So it became very difficult to know how to share something that was this out of the box, right? Shannon, were you going to say something?
I have 5 questions.
Okay. Shall we just stop here and have you answer?
No, I'm listening to your story and I'm writing them as they come.
Okay. Well, you just stop me whenever you need to.
Okay.
So, when I was told I needed to share it, the only way I could start was to invite a few people in and do the experience with them, like call that diamond and have them see it over them and see what their experience was. And it was profound. It was, and these are people who had done a lot of energy work. I lived in California, and I think you all probably know that California is kind of the center of all of this kind of thing and long ago. Yeah. And these people had lived in ashrams and they had done everything known to mankind, to do energy work. And so I was shocked that they were like, oh my God, I have never had an experience like this. And what it did for them and what it does for all of us is it made them be able to experience their true, very large being that we really are. Not the human part of us that's kind of trying to make it through the world, but the 99% of us that we don't see is what they experienced. And it was profound. But I learned the hard way that it was too hard for people to experience that magenta on its own. Now, I had been lying in the forest for 9 years when I was working with this. So that's very grounding, right? I mean, I'm in the forest, I'm lying down. These people had not. So that's when that green started to come in for me, because I was shown that it's kind of like if you take your dryer from the USA to a hair dryer to Europe, you can't just plug that in, right? You have to have a converter. The voltage is different, right? So it was the same way. What I was told is that magenta realm, the harnessing of that energy, it was too high for the human body. So we needed to have this converter because not everybody's lying in a forest to be able to get grounded.
Yeah,
so
that's a really good point. Yeah.
The green became the converter plug, if you will. So it's the phenomenal divine energy, but physical, like nature.
Right.
So that became a very potent and easy, and I had a visible, I was finally able to get a human being after a long time to be able to get that image out of my consciousness onto the computer, which took a long time, But and I didn't even know I was going to do this. I always just follow one step at a time. But to reach others, what I was shown is to marry this sacred technology, which it is kind of like the internet. Over many years after what I'm telling you now, I was shown how to develop a grid all over the world. I traveled all over the world, bringing this diamond in like a station, if you will, like an energy station. And it's all over the world now. Now, I didn't know any of these things when I was doing them. This is back in 1990. This is way before everybody's talking about all this stuff. Anyway, so I realized after many years, this is like the internet, because the internet finally came in after all those years too. And what is it? It's this huge grid all over the planet, and you can tap into it and email each other and do all that. And this is it is the same thing. It is really funny, but it's the same thing. It's just doing something different. This technology is interfacing between heaven and earth, you and your soul, or your soul connected to another soul, you and the divine. The internet is connecting us human to human, right? Human to humans. But so that's why I see it as a technology. And then because it has the grid, you can connect vertically, and you connect, like I said, with other people's souls and spirits, and it's amazingly powerful. But when I had to share it with others, then I was really shown the internet had gotten far enough along that it was the perfect marriage partner to be able to get it accessible so that you could find it, Stephanie.
Yeah.
Because how was I going to get that out? Without the internet, I couldn't have done it. There's no way to get it known, So that's why I call it a sacred technology, because it's a technology for everybody.
Right. So diamondalignment.com is the website that people can go to, but what they're accessing once they get into that is this sacred technology.
Right.
Okay.
And that's why when you go onto this website, I have never done any kind of ads. I don't allow any ads there. I don't allow anything. It is like this purest, sacred space of just this pure energy we've just talked about right now. Nothing else. Nothing from the outer world. It is all about the divine energy that's here as our haven that we can go to anytime, just like I went to the tree, without having to climb the tree, only taking 6 minutes and having the same effect that happened to me.
Wow. So cool. So I want Shannon's got some questions.
Yes, please.
Because I've been with Diamond Alignment for a little while, and I do use this sacred technology for myself and my healing practice and for others. But I want Shannon, our newbie to this idea. Let's go, girl. Let's weigh in. Yeah, let's talk about this.
So I knew we were going to have Jacqueline as our guest, and I purposely did not go to the website.
Oh, good. So, I'm glad you did.
I was going to come in brand new.
Good.
All right. So I'm going to go back to when you fell on the floor and the doctors were doing all the tests. Did they do a brain mapping test? Did they check all of this?
Do you know, Shannon, that is such an amazing question. And I'm going to tell you all something that I don't think I've ever told you, Stephanie, either. You all. is that no. The answer is no, Shannon. How they didn't I have no idea. Because when you think that's one of the first things they would do. I want to tell you that my best friend, if we fast forward from 87, that's when it happened to me, all the way to 2008, my best friend had the same exact thing happen to her. She dropped to the floor, unconscious from being totally healthy, not a symptom. Again, she had 4 children, busy life, crazy life. You know what? They did do the brain scan on her, and you know what? She had a tumor. And you know what? She is not with us anymore. She was gone 12 days later.
After they found the tumor? Wow.
From perfect health, dropped to the floor, gone.
Interesting.
Now, how they did not do that scan on me, I cannot believe it.
Yeah.
It's the first thing they did with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, there's so many questions. And I wasn't even thinking tumor or aneurysm. I was wondering what part of your brain was going into overdrive.
Yeah.
Or which part of your brain was like taking a nap and just woke up, and the rest of you is like, hold on, nap time. Yeah. You know, that's where I was going with it, not tumor. But okay, interesting. So you haven't had one done at all since either. Okay, interesting. The colors.
And I've never had, Shannon. I have never, since I started doing what I've just told you all that I do, I have never had another even tiniest anxiety attack.
That's cool.
None. Eradicated.
Sure.
Wow.
Completely.
And that part is much easier for me to wrap my head around, understanding that our brain is neuroplastic. So when we do grounding exercises and breathing exercises regularly, like daily, regularly, not every once in a while, not once a month, but daily, our brains will change and we will calm down. And that makes sense to me. And you can go down the science, or you can go down the spiritual, or you can go down the energetic, and you can take whatever journey you want to take to get there.
Right.
I mean, that's the beautiful part of bio-individuality and having so many different things for us to choose from.
Yes, yes.
So that's cool.
So, Shannon, that's what, excuse me for interrupting, but the green part of the diamond is really designed to really help people, too, who can't get to nature. You know what I mean? Like people who live in New York City and they don't have a park to go to. They can't go lie on a tree or go walk on the beach or jump in the ocean in Hawaii. You know what I mean? That's why I say it's universal. It's for everybody because it gives you that grounding even when you cannot go into nature.
I definitely appreciate that. I have had multiple practitioners say, get outside and do yoga first thing in the morning and be bare feet in the grass. And I'm like, no, I live in Texas. There are fire ants. Those things are real.
I hear you. I'm in Texas too, girl.
Barefoot anymore. I don't know. It hurts. It's bad. And then the beach is quite the drive. It's not a daily drive. Right. And because of where I live, it's not uncommon to get tar on your feet.
Yeah.
At the beach.
Yeah. So even if you're not in a big building.
Yeah.
Exactly. And a lot of people don't have the time every day to do that either. You know what I mean? So the 6 minutes, I swear, 6 minutes in the diamond doing, Stephanie, it's like being grounded outside for like an hour. And it's very accelerated. And that's also how it's a technology. It's quantum. It's accelerated.
Right. And Shannon, what other questions do you have? Because I want to go a little.
I have I'll try and talk fast.
Okay.
Was it like you were in a trance when you were laying on the tree and you were just kind
No,
of not asleep?
no,
Did
I'm
you have
telling you,
any
it
thoughts
was
at
like
all?
being gone. I do mean not hearing a thing, not seeing a thing, not aware of anything around me. Not at all. That's why I called it a stellar journey. How I must have gone somewhere way beyond this world. And I can remember, I'll tell you this funny story. I would wake up and not wake up. I would just open my eyes. Like I told you, it was a little bit like, I don't know if y'all have ever had that where you just get jolted a tiny bit and then you're like, okay, here, I'm here. I I would have things happen to me like this. One day it was, there were probably 40 to 50 steer. I'm talking with horns, breathing over me while I'm on that tree. I had no idea of them until I opened my eyes.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, things like that would happen. All kinds of, because there were all kinds of animals up there.
Right.
So when I tell you, I knew it wasn't a nap because when you're asleep. This was not being asleep. And it was to the minute that I would come back to and also when I sleep, I don't wake up totally transformed either. I was totally transformed every time I got up. So I have just learned, that's why I hate to say I don't meditate. It's because for me, with the diamond, you don't have to try to stop thinking and all that stuff. It just, boom, you go. It's like you go somewhere very like peace beyond anything you can possibly imagine. So that you let go. That's what happened to me. I was so safe in this chamber. When I would let go, I was open to receive all this amazing energy that changed me, that made me get up and not be depressed and not be scared and not be weak and not be always yes. I mean, that's why my ex-husband was like, what happened? What
happened to the yes man? We're like, we need her back. She was much better when she was a soldier that I could keep in line.
Exactly. So it was like, whoa, it didn't happen all in one day. I'm not saying it did. But I'm saying that I became it. I didn't know it at the time. We're talking 35 years ago. So I didn't know it at the time, but I know it now. I was receiving divine energy, energy that is beyond this world, energy that allowed me to become and do things I couldn't do before. And I was little Miss Superwoman. I still couldn't do it, So.
Yeah, so cool. All right, Miss Shannon, let's go.
You mentioned green and magenta, and on chakra, the green is the heart, and magenta, somewhere between purple and red, that would also be the heart or the root chakra. Do those come into play here? Are they working together?
Well,
you think?
You're right about this magenta. And I didn't know it. I didn't know a thing about sacred geometry. I didn't know anything about chakras. Truly, I was so virginal. I just didn't know about those things. I knew about therapy and stuff like that, but I didn't know about all this other stuff. I did, of course, as I went along in life, I learned about all that. The magenta, the crown chakra is the purple, right? Right, Shannon?
Yeah.
I'm not that familiar with chakras. I know they have colors.
Okay, well, I learned many years later, that the crown is like purple, I think.
Yeah, like a violet.
Purple. And the root is red.
Yes.
And when they come together and merge vibrationally and in the color, and I tell you, the color I was seeing was not color that we see with our human eyes. They were much more glorious. I mean, like, I can't describe it. But when those two came together, that is what formed this glorious magenta. So what it really was showing me, it was the energy of heaven and earth, which is all really the same. Same source, right? So that's what the magenta, it was capturing, but it was mainly the invisible, right? Where the green is more capturing the energy of the physical, divine energy in the physical world.
Right, in the physical world, on our planet. Yeah.
On our trees, grass, the same thing we feel when we go to a redwood forest, right?
Right.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So cool.
More, Shannon?
Yes,
No?
one more. You mentioned that you were trying it with or experimenting with people who were already working with energy. So they already have some idea how all of this works. They're predisposed, things of this sort. Did you try it with anybody else?
Wait, Shannon, let me just correct that a little bit. They weren't energy workers. They were people who, well, one of them was a big feng shui person, so I guess you could say he was definitely into the energy thing. But mostly they were people who were seekers, and they would, I'm just thinking about this one woman. She lived like in an ashram for 30 years. Another woman lived in a Tibetan monastery for 20 years. They would do things to be in this high energy but they weren't healers. They weren't energy workers. You know what I mean? So they weren't necessarily accustomed to that, but they were kind of like, yeah, I'd like to experiment. I'd like to experience something really high frequency. I would love to do that. It was like that.
Okay. And then I'm curious about maybe musicians, as they work a lot with sound and frequency. Did you try with them? What was their experience? Or anybody who considered themselves Christian or Muslim or anything of that sort, looking for more divine experiences?
Everything like Stephanie read, 209 countries have tapped in. So there you can imagine, there are all kinds of ages. I want to tell you this, even animals. Yeah, even animals. So it doesn't matter what race, creed, color, language, education, doesn't take any education or anything else. My daughter is a major musician. She's a composer. She composes for symphonies and all of this stuff. And she's a singer, songwriter and everything. She actually did, Stephanie, the sound, the sound that we have in the 6-minute activation. And I love the musicians. I love that my daughter really brings in really high frequency because you get to hear that, right? I love that. For me, it's the next step. This is bringing in pure energy, but you don't hear it with your physical ears. You don't see it with your physical eyes. Now, as you do, I'm sure you do, Stephanie, now, you get to where you will be able to see and even hear there's a really high-pitched, amazing sound, but it's after you get used to working in the chamber that you start getting attuned to being able to hear with what I call your diamond ears and your diamond eyes, seeing, you start seeing differently, more amplified, more beautiful. So I'm sorry, I forgot what you just asked me. I guess I'm just saying that lots of different people use it for different ways, and I love that music can be brought in to bring in this frequency because it's so delicious to also hear it with your physical ears.
It is. It is. Shannon, do you have any more questions at the moment? I'm sure there'll be plenty.
Let's go from here.
Okay. So what I'd like to do is, by the way, Jacqueline, thank you for sharing your story. I've heard that story several times, and every time there's always a piece that you bring in that I haven't heard before, and I'm raptured every time. So thank you so much for being willing and open to share your story. But so now I'm going to share my story about diamond alignment, because it's kind of like, how do these two people know each other, and where did this come from? So I was first introduced to diamond alignment through Jennifer McLean. She had I want to call it like a teleseminar that she would do once a week. And this is back in 2011. And by that time, I had already been doing, I'd been doing energy work. I was trained in several different types of energy healing modalities. I had also been actually studying to be a naturopathic doctor. I never finished my degree work, but I was on the path to that. I was a nutraceuticals consultant, so very much into the wellness world. Like here, you know, we're going to fix this. You know, we're going to fix people. And I was really into the wellness world. And so Jacqueline McLean had a lot of teleseminars that she would do once a week where she would have guests come on. And so I would tune in. You had to call in a phone number. This is like pre, you know, podcast, pre all that type of stuff. And yeah, it's pre-Zoom. Yeah, we weren't doing this. Yeah, pre-Zoom, all of it. But for whatever reason, I think I signed up for her little email stuff. And then, you know, she'd say, this guest this week is such and such. And, you know, so I was on her email list. And the guest this week was Jacqueline Joy. I tuned in and Jacqueline, I don't even think you explained that much. You were just talking about this sacred technology, this divine technology that people could use to help support their lives physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. There was no container for what direction you wanted to go. It was just elevating your personal human experience. That's the way I heard it, you know, is what we can do. There was no agenda. There was no mantra. There was just this whole idea of making you be able to navigate your life in a way that allows you to connect to your true North Star. That's the way I heard it. This was back, you know, that was the way I heard it. And I was like, damn, everybody wants to connect to their North Star, right? That part of us, that intuitive part, right? That's kind of what I was thinking. And so as an energy worker at the time, I was like, wow, if I could get more intuitive, this is my thought. If I could get more intuitive and connect to that part of me that's connected to source, that infinite intelligence, then wow, wouldn't that make my business grow?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, because that's what I was doing, right? I was helping people. So I actually didn't go, I wasn't a seeker. I wasn't looking for anything. I was literally just on this email list. And so then Jennifer had Jacqueline on, and I can't explain it, but Jacqueline started talking and I was just instantly drawn to it. And I'm one of these people, whether it's energy work, nutraceuticals consultant, you know, I work a lot with nutrition and different things like that. I am not going to recommend anything to my clients. They're very personal to me, and I'm very protective of my clients, really protective of my clients. I kind of mama bear my clients, probably even more so than I mama bear my kids. And so I wasn't about to introduce anything, whether it's a supplement, a yoga routine, an energy protocol, or even this divine technology to anybody unless I tried it out myself. That's the way I always did stuff. I always tried it on. And then if I had some experience with it, then I would recommend it to other people. So that's what I did. I went to, you know, I listened to Jacqueline at the time had I don't know if it was, I don't even remember. I think we were doing a little, Jacqueline was doing a little bit more of like a teleseminar where she was connecting with people and we were learning more about it. So I listened more and did that. But then I got online and started doing the diamond alignment. And the 6 minute activation. We call it the 6 minute activation, but it's basically a place on the website where you click and it's a 6 minute activation. And it's that place where that flow of divine technology, you're connected to it, right? The way that you and I are connected right now on this podcast.
Plugging into the internet.
Yeah, exactly. But we're plugging into this diamond grid. Now, I didn't have those words back then. I didn't have any of that stuff.
Yeah.
But all I knew is that when I did it, I would feel better. That's all I knew, you know. I would feel better. So, you know, that's all. And I was like, oh, you know what? I'm an energy worker. I help people feel better by, you know, helping guide energy. I've never said energy comes from me. I've always said energy comes through me, you know. And so, you know, when I've done work. And so, but I thought this was so cool that all I had to do was sit in front of a computer for 6 minutes and it would kind of match a whole energy healing session. And so I would literally tell my clients, I don't have time to see you this week, but just get online. It's free. It's 6 minutes. I don't have the time to deal with you. My life is full too. And so go to this, and it'll kind of give you a little energy boost. And so I started hearing back from a couple of clients. They were like, and every experience was different. They were like, whoa, I just felt really relaxed. And, I felt like I could lay down and take a nap. Somebody else would say, no, nothing really changed, but I felt like I could find the solution to a problem I was dealing with. They were just little things, And then I would say to my clients, well, I listened to Jacqueline's, teleseminar, I was listening, and she said, the more you do it, it's kind of like exercise. If I exercise 1 day a month for an entire year, I'm not going to transform my body, Right. But if I exercise on a regular basis and do it all the time, then I'm going to transform my body. So I started encouraging my clients and myself to start doing it on a regular basis. 6 minutes in the morning, 6 minutes when things were going, 6 minutes in the middle of the day, whatever it was. And that's when it was like, oh, things just started things were more serendipitous in my life. If I was looking for an answer, it came a little easier. If I was having conflict with somebody, the conflict resolution would just come a little easier. It's not like my life changed. I didn't walk out every morning and be like, oh, I'm a new person. But it just made things flow a little more smoothly. And that's when I was like, wow, there is something to this. And then, of course, I've continued to use it, and I've been more involved in some of the other services that she provides in addition to the 6 minute activation. But that was my experience with it. I wasn't hurt. I wasn't looking for anything. I, wasn't in a place where I needed a lot of support. Ha ha. We tell that to ourselves, but I wasn't, in one of those head spaces. And that's when I was introduced to it. And since then, like I said, I have continued to do the 6 minute diamond alignment. I do it in the morning when I wake up. I do it in the mornings. It's just 6 minutes. You sit in front of this computer, and then you have this pretty little picture of this diamond, this magenta and green diamond. And it's kind of like getting a mini energy healing session. That's the way I describe it to clients, because that's the only language I have, right?
Yeah.
But what I think is really interesting is now that I've played with it, and over the years, I can tell you it's pretty phenomenal how you notice the changes in things. I remember one time I was having a really rough time. I was angrier than you could get at. I don't know what was going on, but I was on fire. I was pissed about something. Something had triggered me. This is back when the kids were little. They're probably, I don't know, 8 and 10 or whatever. And my husband was coming home, and I was like you, Jacqueline. I was, the president of the PTO, and I was, in charge of concessions. And I was doing everything for everybody, right? But I remember just being really, really, really pissed about something one time. And I did the diamond, and it didn't help. So I hit the back button, and I did the diamond again, and it didn't help at all. And I hit the back button, I did the diamond again, and I'll be damned if all of a sudden I was like, oh, I'm good. And I just was fine. I got up and went on. I don't even remember what it was, but I remember thinking to myself, I am so angry. If I go in there and talk to another human being, words are going to come out of my mouth that I'm not going to be happy with later. That's how stirred up I was. And I was even kind of pissed at the diamond. I just want you to know, because I was like, this is supposed to work, right? It's supposed to make me feel better. So I'm doing the diamond, and damn it didn't work. So I hit the back button again, and I did it again, and damn it didn't work. And I hit the back button, and I did it again, and I was like, and I was fine. It was just like something in me said everything was going to be okay, and I was able to move through my day better. And I like to share my story because I'm just somebody who uses the technology, and it really can be super, super practical.
Very
practical. It doesn't have to be mystical and etheric and all that type of stuff. And so over the years, I will literally use it for anything. I'll go into the diamond and have an intention. Like, I really hope this phone call with my banker goes well enough that we can find resolution. Or I really hope this, whatever it is, when I'm struggling to find answers and stuff like that. And I am telling you, every single time it delivers in a way that's super practical, super human. And so you almost forget that you asked for divine intervention.
That is I'm so glad you said that, Stephanie, because this is it. It's so subtle because it's so organic.
Yes.
Can I tell that really quick story that you've heard before about the gal that had the weight issue?
That's a great story.
Oh my God. This is one of my favorite stories about how organic it is, that it doesn't hit you over the head, but major changes happen. This gal comes to me. She's like 18 years old. Her parents are going through divorce. She was really in this cycle of a major eating disorder. Like 20 pounds she'd lose 1 week. The next week she would gain 20 pounds. Then she'd lose 10, and then she'd go up 30. She was on the roller coaster of all roller coasters with her life and with her weight. And she was just acne. I mean, like her whole face, her whole chest, her back. Anyway, so she comes and we do some work and she learns about it. But I have to say, she didn't keep doing it, but I worked with her really personally with it. So let's say she got a big dose of it.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, she goes off to college. And I saw her like 9 months later on campus when I was at the college she's at. And I said, she looked gorgeous. She's like 5'6", 125, face clear. And I went up to her and I said, Jennifer, how is that eating disorder? And she went, what eating disorder? She totally forgot she even had it because she did not do one thing to make it happen. She didn't go on a diet. She didn't take any pills. She didn't do a big exercise program. Zero.
Yeah. She didn't seek therapy. All those other things.
Nothing. Zero. She went off to college. And a lot of people go off the rails when they go to college, right?
Yep.
She completely, what did she do? She came into alignment with her true self.
With her true self.
With her true self.
Yeah.
That's what she did. And that's what this does. It brings you home and helps you to stay home to your true self.
Yes.
Your really true self. Not the ego, bless the ego, but it just goes through, our human self goes through all this stuff and we get all rattled. And she was so affected by the divorce and, hard to find herself and all of that. Yeah. And this was like, whew, she just came home.
Yeah.
Came home. And most people need the help to stay home. You know what I mean? You guys, it's like the world is really kind of pulling at us at all times. Yeah. So that's why just 6 minutes will just remind you of who you are, bring you back to who you are, align you with who you are, so that you can do all the cacophony of our world in the truth of who you are.
Of who you are, your divine self, your authentic blueprint, whatever that is. Exactly. And that's what I love so much about the work that I've done with the diamond, is it has no agenda whatsoever except to align you with your North Star, however you define that.
And I'm not in the way. There's no middleman. That's also how it's a technology.
Right.
It is not, you're not coming to me.
Right.
You're going onto the plug-in to the grid.
Right.
Which is interfacing between the human and the divine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, Shannon, do you have any questions before we move on to some of the practical things that I want to tell our listeners? Because we're getting, close to an hour of being on here.
Yes. And I have something for that, but it hasn't completely formed in here. But I have a couple of things. What is the hertz for the music that is accompanying?
I have no idea. I don't do it by that.
Okay.
Yeah.
No idea what the frequency is or anything?
My daughter did that. She came to Hawaii when I asked her to do that. She was in conservatory and she came to Hawaii. She spent a week with me. I did the diamond with her every day. She went back to the conservatory in a studio where she could access different things. And of course, I activated that she would be able to do a good job of it. But I never told her, do this hurts or that hurts or none of that. I don't know.
Okay, and she didn't tell you which one? Because I know there's some on YouTube that claim to be angelic and healing and things of that sort. So I
Shannon, everything I do has nothing to do with anything anybody knows, especially me. It's just not that way. It's really, I trusted that she received what she was supposed to receive because she had the skill set to do it, but she never questioned me about it. What do you want me to do it in, Mom? She didn't say that. Okay. She just went back. She did it. She did the 6-minute, Stephanie, in like 2 days.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
I did not have to change. I did not have to ask her to alter one note.
Right. Because the intent when she went in there was to create something, and she's working, right. And she's working with her, higher consciousness, her guidance, her divine, connection to source.
And I mean, she does films and all that kind of thing, right? So they hire her to be able to bring in the music, to bring in the theme, right, for what the movie is. Well, I asked her to bring in everything that I'm doing and what the diamond is doing on this planet, to bring it through in form of music.
Yeah.
So that's what she did.
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah. Turn it over to the experts, that are connected to source, connected to the creator.
You really did need the skill set, though.
You absolutely do. You absolutely need the skill set. Right. And that's what I love about it, because it made her more her, right? It made her gifts connect with what she was doing in the moment. That's what I love about it. It didn't take her out of what she was doing.
By the way, she did fabulously in conservatory.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Shannon, did you have another question?
Yes. You mentioned that it works with animals. How?
Well, what I meant by that, Shannon, is that lots of people over the years have told me that when they start doing the diamond, like the cat will come from 3 rooms away and jump on their lap, or the dog will come and be next to them. It's like they are very attracted to the energy and want to be in it. So I'm not saying, I got to say, I personally have used the diamond over with my animals, but that's a whole nother level than where we're talking about right now. That's more in the services, you would say.
Yeah. I really have witnessed that, where you turn on the computer and then you click the thing to get into the 6-minute activation. And it's just, I guess, radiating out this divine flow, that connects you to you. That's what I love about it. It connects you to your, source, your authentic self. And I'm not kidding. I've seen animals, because I don't have an animal myself, but when I've done it at other people's houses, they'll be asleep over in the corner, and you'll see them get up and they'll walk over and they'll sit right next to you. They're like, oh, I got to get me some of that.
In your lap or whatever.
Yes, the cats will sit up in your lap. And yes, I have seen that quite a bit, actually. Yeah. They're attracted to that energy, right? It's an energy, So that's, super cool. Yeah. And what I've discovered when I do the 6-minute activation is that I've learned to set an intention for what I want. Today I need help with getting the laundry done. I know this sounds crazy, but I've got to pack. I'm leaving on vacation tomorrow and I have 10 things to do. And I just somehow need that laundry miraculously done. And I'll be damned if my husband won't come home from work and throw in a load of laundry. And I'll be like, oh, who are you? And what did you do with my husband? Like really? Yeah. It's very practical how it shows up. But if you don't recognize that those little practical, human interventions are what you've asked for, right? That's what I asked for, right?
That's right. And there is, after the 6-minute activation, there is a golden box, a place where you can type in what you're talking about. Intentions, what you want to have happen, or gratitude for what has happened, So it's interactive in that way too, if you want. And no one ever sees that either.
No, it doesn't go to anybody. I just did it the other day. I had an appointment down in St. Louis, Missouri, which is a 3-hour drive for me. And I pulled up the weather forecast, and it was something like 85% chance of rain. I hate to drive in the rain, especially 3 hours, So I did the diamond knowing that it's connecting, to that divine source. And at the end, in the golden box, I literally said, today I have to drive to St. Louis. And I know the forecast says, like 90% chance of rain, but would it be okay if I could just skirt around it while I'm in the car, and then just kind of skirt around it on the way back. Cause I know rain's important and, it's good for the environment. And I'm not kidding. The whole drive down there, I had about 30 minutes of mist, just mist. I didn't actually get rained on. And then it was dry the rest of the time. Even though it rained, it rained. They got rain in St. Louis. They got rain all the way back up, through Missouri and up in Iowa. And I was like, you could see the rain clouds. I'm not saying anything went away, but for whatever reason, it just kind of lightened up, where I was. And then it would start again. And it really, and I'm not saying it didn't rain.
It is so practical. It is so physical.
Yeah.
It has physical effects.
Right. And I'm laughing to myself because I said to my husband before I got in the car that morning, this was just last week, I said, 6 hours in the pouring rain. This is going to trigger me. It's exhausting, right? You white knuckle the steering wheel the whole time. Exactly. And, and I'm like, and he was like, how was your drive? I was like, there was just a little spitting mist for a little while for about 30 minutes of my 6-hour drive. But other than that, it was cloudy and overcast, but I didn't run into any of the hard stuff.
That's so great.
It's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And it really does. It's every time. It's every time. It's not like, that just happened. This with travel, my travel diamond is the diamond travelizations. People say it all the time. I've been doing it for 20 years. I don't care if you're going across the planet or just taking, like you said, a drive. It will smooth out the schedule, the weather, the maintenance, the everything. It is amazing.
Yeah.
It is amazing.
And you have to pay attention because it does just seem very human. You know what I mean? It just seems very normal.
You can say,
you can easily take it for granted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have used it throughout the years just to support my life and the lives of my loved ones. And I love it. It's easy. It's quick. It's 6 minutes. It's free. So I want to talk about.
It's not free.
I'm sorry. No, that's right. They can go. That's true. That's not free.
It's a plug-in. It's like your internet bill. You know what I mean?
Yes. If you do the premium subscription. What I meant to say is that you can go online and there is a little thing that they can click on to
excuse me. Yes, the free
to experience it for free just to see what it is, right?
Sorry,
Yes. And that's on the website. So they can go to diamondalignment.com.
And the free trial is in the left upper corner.
Yeah, there's a free trial. That's what I meant to say. I apologize. Thank you for that correction. Yeah. So you can get on diamondalignment.com and you can click on the free trial and you can try the free trial.
That's right.
And then if they're interested in doing more and want a premium subscription, then they can look at the offerings for that as well.
Yeah, so I changed things around since we have talked before. And there is now on the homepage, diamondalignment.com, there is a button right underneath the diamond that says Premium Diamond Connection. So if you just click that button, you can go and hear about it and see a little video on what the grid is, like a 2-minute video, and see all the things. I'll see what you can expect from it.
Oh, good.
So anyway, it's all there.
Yeah, the video is good. I have gotten on there and watched the video that talks a little bit about the grid and what the access is. So the fact that you've changed it up a little bit so that they can click on the premium subscription and then go down and learn more about it.
Yeah. Easier.
Fantastic. And then the other thing I want to say is that if you want to learn a little bit more about Jacqueline's story, she actually has written a book. I'm holding the book right here. It's called Journey to Self-Love. And it's by Jacqueline Joy. And you can find that on Amazon.com. And it's a wonderfully illustrated, and it does a great job. It's actual pictures of Jacqueline on the tree. So, no, I'm not kidding. Jacqueline's on the tree. She's right here on the tree. So,
I got to just say this. What's really cool about what I really intentioned in that book is that anybody who reads that book will receive in that, I call it a portal. It's like an energy portal. I had 9 years going every single day. I'm telling you, there's a whole portal there. You can't believe what's changed in that community. It's just profound. So it's like when people read it and they see the tree, they're like brought into that same forest where it all originated.
Awesome.
It's really powerful.
Awesome.
Really
and I actually did
one last thing. Sorry. But one last thing is I worked really hard to have as few words as possible. so that it is not a heady experience with a bunch of information overload, which we're all so overloaded with information. It's an energy experience.
Yeah.
The book is.
Yes. Yeah. And the book is called Journey to Self-Love. It's on Amazon, and you can, from Jacqueline Joy, and you can get on there. And like I said, it's illustrated, but it's a great way to learn a little bit more, because the concept is kind of, let's just say it's out of the box. And some people would even say out of the universe. But that's why I wanted to tell my personal story, right? Because I just use it for everyday stuff, And sometimes we want to blow things up and think that it has to be a certain way or a certain formula. And it's not that at all. It's just that time that we connect to something greater.
I call it, it's like turning on a light switch, you know what I mean? And you have light in the room. It's like that. There's no agenda.
Yeah.
It's just bringing in the power and getting yourself aligned without trying.
Yeah.
That's the other really big thing, is you don't have to try. There's nothing you have to do right.
Nope.
Is there anything you have to do right?
No. As a matter of fact, I mess up a lot. I might even cuss sometimes because I'm having a day.
You can handle it.
And I'll be like, listen, this is what's going on right now. And this is just me venting, right?
Yeah.
But it is surprising what can happen. That's why I like to tell my story, because it's not this. Sometimes as I do energy work on people, you kind of get into this big sort of meditative state sometimes, or calming state or whatever. And that's all fine. And that's great. And it provides the work. But this is just you being present for you. That's all it is. You being present for you and connecting to you.
It's because we do give out a lot, and it's great that we all do give out a lot. But we got to get our own cup filled.
Yeah.
So if we can do that in 6 minutes, that's what my desire is to have people have their own cup filled. Then you really give out. And you know what? It becomes more giving out on a more authentic level too.
That is actually true. I've experienced that as well.
Because I really learned in all of my inner work that a lot of my giving out was not all altruistic. It was also to control. It was also to be the good, to be the popular one, or the good one, or the whatever one, the loved one.
Yeah.
You get way more authentic in the way you give when you are really aligned and you know who you are, and you don't have to seek all of that outside of yourself. You're really giving truly from your authenticity when you do.
Absolutely.
But
and you're not
looking for yourself first. You have to. We can't loan people money out of a bank if you don't have money in your own bank account.
Yeah. I love that. You're giving to yourself. And that's what this is. It's giving to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's giving to yourself. That's what this is.
It's not being selfish. It's getting yourself full.
Right. Filling your cup up. Mm-hmm. And so I encourage people to go to diamondalignment.com. I personally would love to have you back, Jacqueline, for round 2 of our podcast, because we've talked about this 6-minute activation and the premium subscription to Diamond Alignment. But I would love to have you back sometime when maybe we can talk about some of the other services and tools that you provide that have been created through the years.
Would love it.
And
we can also maybe even do an experience.
Oh, I would love that.
I don't know if
for our listeners.
Yeah, that's what I did with Jennifer. When you came on, I'm sure that you did it, because she asked me to do it every single time I was on. She would ask me, okay, can we experience it together? So I would do it.
Wow. So that would be incredible. So what you're saying is that the next time we have you on, we can ask we could connect, our listeners are going to be connecting, right? And this is, and we'll have this experience.
And I will take you through the experience.
Oh, that would be amazing. I would love that.
So you can just taste it, right?
Yeah, you can just taste it. And anybody that listens from here on out can taste it too, right? Because that's the thing about this incredible divine technology, energy from source, is that it's not bound by space and time, right? So if a person listens to it 2 or 3 days from now, they can still share in that experience.
Absolutely. You're so right. You're so right. It is beyond space and time.
So cool. So cool. Awesome. Well, I know we've been talking for a while, and it just gets fun. And you did such a great job of explaining where it came from. So look for the book on Amazon. Diamondalignment.com is the website that you can go to. And Shannon, do you have any last minute questions or comments before we wrap up here? No, not at all. Well, Jacqueline, thank you.
Oh, is she saying something? What was that? Shannon?
I do not. No, I'm good.
you
But
don't?
thank you for your questions. It's so great. I love the questions.
Yeah.
I also want to say, for anybody, I love the print book, and I'm glad you have the print book stuff. The ebook is going on today on sale for $3.99. If you all would just like to get a feel for it.
Yeah.
Immediately without waiting for a printed book. The printed book is great and it's wonderful. I'll tell you, to have on your, like you said, on your living room table, it literally does emanate out the energy in your home.
Cool. So cool.
That's
cool.
a fun.
So if they can go and check all that out, and what I like about your website, when they go to the premium subscription, you're going to have a lot more details and even a video there that explains everything for those that are interested in exploring more. So,
yes, ma'am.
Amazing.
We will.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. We will look for another time to have you back. And Shannon, thanks for your questions. And yeah. All right, listeners, thanks for tuning in. We're the holistic.
So much for having me, and thank you to all the listeners.
Thank you so much. We'll catch you guys next time.
Come home. Come to Diamond Alignment. Come home.
Absolutely. Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.